In this presentation, we will do a bank reconciliation for the second month of operations. This will be part one, where we will be focusing in on the deposits. Here we go with Xero. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars dashboard. We're going to start off by opening up our trial balance. We're going to go to the accounting dropdown and go to the good old TB, the good old trial balance. We're going to mouse over the tab up top then and right click on that tab so that we can then duplicate it. So we're going to be duplicating that tab. We'll change the date up top. This time we're looking at the month of February. So we're going to go to February 2020. So we're on the day 29th of February. It's 29 days in 2020 in February. And there we have it. Now we're going to go back to the first tab over here. Back to the first tab. We're going to open up our reconciliation report by going to the accounting dropdown. Going on down to the reports tab. Then I'm going to go down to the accounting section where we have the bank reconciliation summary. We're going to be opening up that bank reconciliation summary. Then we're going to right click on that tab up top so that we can then once again duplicate it. Then we'll adjust the date up top and the account that we will be reconciling. We're going to be reconciling the checking account, and it'll be as of the end of February 2020 in our practice problem. So we're going to be on February 29th. Then we're going to go ahead and update that report. So we have an updated report. And what we're going to have then for our reconciliation is going to be the balance for Xero as of February 2020, which is the 104,377.46. If we go over to the trial balance just to check that out, there's the 104,377.46. Back to the summary. The end of the report, after we go through these reconciliations, will hopefully tie out to the bank statement. That will be the objective. Here is our bank statement for February. We have the ending balance of the 104,611.54, which is not the 104,917. Now you might say, hey, that's pretty close. That's good enough. But note that you want to reconcile exactly on, because really that difference could be made up of a whole lot of transactions. It could be a whole lot of deposits and checks that are not included, resulting in that difference. So any variance from basically a complete reconciliation really decreases the value of the reconciliation a lot. So you really want to reconcile this exactly. And so what we'll do then is we're going to do the same process. We're going to go through the amounts that are in our books, compare them to what's on the bank statement. Anything that's on the bank statement that is not on our books is something that we would typically think we would have to include. We would have to add, unless the bank is wrong, which is probably not the case. Typically they will, and usually the things we have to add are things like possibly the withdrawals and the bank charges for sure, because we won't know about them until we have the bank statement. Anything that's on our books, or if something is on our books and not on the bank statement, that's not necessarily wrong. That's what we're looking for, because that may be the case that we put something in our books, but the bank doesn't know about it yet because it has not yet cleared. Those then will be the reconciling items. If I go back over here, you'll note that everything is in February is now in here as basically unreconciled. And it also includes, notice this item happened in January. These items happened in January. And they may reconcile then in February. In other words, they may clear the bank basically in February. So we're hoping that anything that we wrote in January, like these checks, should be cleared by the end of February. If they're still unreconciled by the end of February, then we'd be more concerned about them. We're like, well, what's going on with these checks? They haven't cleared. It's been like a couple months now. And same with the deposits down here. We got this item that we wrote in January, didn't reconcile in January because it didn't clear yet. We would expect by the end of February that it has indeed reconciled by that point in time. We'll be focusing down here on the deposits now, and what we're going to do is see, once we check these off, these items should be removed. So if we go down to our deposits, we have the 996, the 17, and the 847. And so you can kind of see there's these items in the deposit side of things. There's the 996, the 17,000, and the 847. Those should be removed, and then we'll be left with basically this one, which is on our books but hasn't cleared the bank. So let's see if that is indeed the case. We're going to go back to the first tab. I'm going to go to our dashboard. So let's go into our dashboard and go into our reconciliation type of item. Now, we don't have the bank feeds on. Remember, we're doing this kind of manually. It's the same kind of process. If you have the bank feeds going, you'll still have to match these out in the same way. It'll just be that you'll kind of match the two items out. But same kind of idea, and we'll see that when we do the bank feed. So I'm going to go down to the checking account down here. Going to go to the plus button, and I want to go to the account transactions, and we're manually just going to look at our bank statement, go back and check things off in the system. So I'm going to go back down. We're looking for our deposits. Now, remember we have the item. If I go to this little question mark, This one needs to be enabled, so it now says disabled in case we want to disable it now, but it's currently enabled, and that's why it says disabled. And then we have that on, and that gives us our little feature over here that allows us to mark something as reconciled or not. Then we're going to go down, and we got everything in green has already been, reconciled, and so these items in orange are the ones that are going to reconcile in February. So I'm going to go back over. I'm looking for that 996.45. So let's look for that 996. There it is, 996.45. I'm going to check that one off. And then I'm going to make it green over here. Notice I'm going from the bank statement back to the books. Bank statement to the books. There's the 17,000. If we go back over here, we're looking for that 17,000 deposit. Here it is up top. So we'll check that one off. So we have the 17,000. Let's go back over and check that one off or make it green. Then we have the 847.50. So if we go back on over, we're looking for that 847.50. So those are the items that we have cleared the bank in terms of deposits. Notice how easy that was because they're appearing in our bank statement in the same deposit format as they appeared here. And notice we did that by basically using a clearing account to group them together. So remember, when you're making deposits into your system, you want to think about, well, how are they going to appear on the bank side of things? So when you do the reconciliation, it'll be easy for you to tie these things out. And if you're using the bank feeds, the bank will, if you have them tied out directly, the bank can kind of see them by number. The system will try to match it by number. But if the numbers don't tie out, then they're not going to match. And no matter what, you're still going to have to go in and kind of manually tie those two things out. So you really want to try to group them in the bank, your deposits, in the same way as they'll appear on the bank statement in your system. And that'll make this process much easier whether you're using bank feeds or not. So there we have that, and I'm going to go back up top, and then we're going to reconcile, or I'm going to mark these as reconciled. Mark as reconciled, and there we have them. Takes a little time for that to happen, and they turn green, this little green thing on the right. And then I'm going to go to the reconciliation report. When I update it, then most of these should disappear, and we'll be left with that one item, I believe. Update this report. And then we'll scroll back down and say what's left. Just that 1,698. That's the amount that we wrote at the end of February that didn't yet clear as a deposit. So if we're concerned about that, then we would go to March and see if it cleared. If it cleared in March, we're okay. We're like, that's fine. It's okay. It's outstanding at the end of February. And we want to report it as outstanding at the end of February for our reconciliation report, so that we're able to tie that out. If we can see exactly what the difference is, then we're okay on all the other balances that have been put in place. Next time, we're going to do the same thing for the checks and other outflows side of things. And once we do that, we should be able to reconcile from our book balance and the bank balance, then representing the bank balance on the actual bank statement. That's it for now. Let's get out of here.